Imagine this monumental castle covered in white marble with a luscious patch of greenery, perhaps trees covering the central peak. Peacocks stand at the entrance of bronze gates, and a quadriga overlooks the city from the very top of the building. No one exactly knows what the original structure of the Castle Sant'Angelo looks like, but three overlaid architectural bodies, a square base, cylindrical middle, and a section rising over the cylinder, mark the castle as distinct and impressive. Castle Sant'Angelo, with its dominating size and shape, manages to catch the eyes of all who travel to Rome. The construction of this magnificent building began in the year 135 by Emperor Publius Aelius Hadrianus on the right bank of the Tiber. It was finished in 139, 1 year after Hadrian's death, by his adopted son and successor, Antoninus Pius. Hadrian erected this mausoleum with the goal of outdoing the mausoleum in the Campus Martius in honor of Augustus, where the ashes of the imperial family were placed. For over 100 years, the castle functioned flawlessly as a tomb for Emperor Hadrian and many of his successors. It was not until 271 that the castle was transformed to a fortress by the hand of Emperor Aurelian. The bridge that is used to join the castle with Rome allows it to be in constant communication with the center of the city. The strategic location near the Bridge of Sant'Angelo and its virtually impregnable fortifications made the castle a key factor in the defense of the northern part of the city. Throughout the Middle Ages, this castle would be a refuge for the Pope in times of danger. It was Pope Nicholas III who was credited with constructing an underground passageway that connected the Vatican to the castle. However, not only was this castle a mausoleum, fortress, and refuge, it also served as a prison. To begin our tour, we stand directly in front of the castle. Behind us is the bridge crossing the Tiber to get to the entrance. It is this bridge that links the center of the city of Rome to the castle itself. Statues of angels line the bridge, directly on top of 5 of the original 8 bridge arches. The door, which today directly opens into the castle, is in the same place as the original door which gave access to the mausoleum at the time of its founding. Stepping inside the ancient entrance, there is the external ambulatory, which runs completely around the edge of the castle, encompassing the central donjon. It is in this ambulatory, otherwise called the Courtyard of the Savior, that the rooms are used for ticket sales, and a select few contain collections of antique and medieval marbles. From here, we must ascend the small stairwell leading to the atrium, otherwise known as the nucleus of the mausoleum. The atrium is a square room which once held a colossal statue of the Emperor Hadrian. To the right is the entrance to the spiral ramp, where we can complete the entire circuit of the castle. Ascending the spiral ramp, we reach the location of the courtyard of honor of the cannonballs, or the angel. In this courtyard are piles of stone munitions for the catapults used in the castle in the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries. There is also a large marble angel sculpture attributed to Guglielmo della Porta in the 18th century. This angel was placed where a previous angel had stood during the time of Alexander VI. At the wall opposite the entrance to the courtyard stands a chapel constructed by Leo X. The design of the chapel's beautiful facade is attributed to the works of Michelangelo. We will now pass from the chapel to the papal apartments. Pope Paul III lived within Castle Sant'Angelo for over 13 years. During his time here, he built many different rooms, all a part of his sumptuous apartment. The papal apartment magnificently represents the glory and pride of the Renaissance. Within the papal apartment are 7 different rooms. The first room we will enter is the Room of Apollo. This was one of the rooms built by Pope Paul III in the year 1534. It owes its name to the cycle of magnificent frescoes covering the walls and ceilings, each representing different episodes of the myth of Apollo. The next room we will enter is the Room of Treasures, a misnomer, as this room was actually a library for Pope Paul III. The decorations here were painted between 1543 and 1545 by the hand of Lucio Luzzi of Todi, who also worked in the Palazzo Doria. The decorations are a combination of both frescoes and stucco alto relievo. The third room we will visit is La Sala Paolino. It is undoubtedly the most prestigious space of the apartments. It was intended to receive ambassadors and distinguished visitors. As such, it is sumptuously decorated and well kept, which immediately gains admiration and wonder from all guests. The complex series of frescoes, built between June 1545 and September 1547 by Tuscan Perino del Vaga, display the figure of Paul III and the splendor of Christendom. From the large Sala Paulino leads to a much smaller room called the Hall of Perseus. The myth of the Greek god is narrated along the walls. The furnishings in this room were meticulously placed by the first director of Castle San Angelo, Mariano Borgatti. Visible only through a grate that protects the entrance is the next room of the papal apartment, the Hall of Cupid and Psyche. It also takes its name from the subject of its frescoes, inspired by the famous story told by Apuleius. Similar to the Hall of Perseus, the Hall of Cupid and Psyche was converted into the bedroom by Mariano Borgatti. It wasn't until after the construction of the papal apartments that the castle lost its role as a residence and turned primarily into a prison. In the 14th century, cells and dungeon-like living quarters were installed below the main floor of the castle. Prisoners were kept here in solidarity and confinement. Executions were occasionally performed in the small inner courtyard of honor we previously visited. Leaving now the interior of the castle, we head to the top of the monument. It is here that the statue of the angel Saint Michael overlooks the city of Rome. He was constructed and placed on top of the castle in the year 1536 by Raffaello da Montelupo. Montelupo's statue was replaced by a bronze statue of the same subject, executed by Peter Anton von Verschaffelt in 1753. It is now that our tour of the grand and marvelous Castle San Angelo comes to an end. From funerary monument to a fortified outpost, from dark and terrible imprisonment to the wonderful Renaissance that sees the works of Michelangelo active within its walls, from artillery outpost to the Risorgimento Museum, Castle San Angelo embodies the solemn Roman spaces, in the mighty walls, in the magnificent frescoed rooms. The vicissitudes of the eternal city become clear, where past and present appear inextricably linked.